Now that we have configured TypeScript compiler, it's time to configure another tool, linter called ESLint. In the first lesson of this series, we have already installed a VS Code extension called ESLint in order for all ESLint errors to show up in the editor. But currently in our project, ESLint doesn't recognize TypeScript syntax. Let's try to write some TypeScript code in one of the Vue components, for example in the root component app.vue. And by the way, to be able to use TypeScript syntax inside Vue components, we have to specify special attribute on this script element called lang with the value at ts, like so. And right away we can see that type is no longer highlighted, but still variable name is highlighted. As we can see, this error is related to ESLint, because ESLint still doesn't recognize TypeScript syntax. So now we'll have to teach ESLint to understand TypeScript. And by the way, if we'll take a look inside package.json, here we can see that we already have pre-configured script that is going to run linter. That is this script called lint. So we can try to run this script from the terminal by executing npm run lint. Let's try it out. As we can see, linter has found a couple of errors, including that error inside the app.vue components where we have just modified the code and used type annotation. So in order to make ESLint understand TypeScript code, we'll have to add another set of rules inside ESLint configuration file to this extends array. But of course, firstly, this set of rules has to be installed, and we can do so by installing the following package. So we'll have to run npm install and specify this package name in the terminal in order to install this package. Let's go back to the terminal and run npm install with just copied package name. And since this dependency will only be used during development, let's not forget and specify flag d, as we are executing npm install. This package provides us with another set of rules that we can include in this array, and the rule is called view ESLint config TypeScript. And now ESLint should understand TypeScript code. And indeed, if we take a look inside app.vue component, we no longer see any errors. But if we're going to run ESLint from the terminal again by running npm run lint, we still can see a couple of errors related to configuration files of post.css as well as tailwindcss. But before fixing these issues, let's once again go back to package.json, and to this list of extensions, we also have to add another extension called .ts, since we need ESLint to also detect errors in TypeScript files. So let's try to reproduce TypeScript error in one of the JavaScript files. For example, let's add special argument in here called arguments, which is not recommended to be used, so ESLint should actually give us an error. And also let's rename this file so it uses ts extension instead of js. Let's go back to the terminal once again and run the linter. As we can see, we have a couple of errors related to the code we have just modified inside functions.ts. So we have verified that now linter runs in the files with ts extension. Let's just revert all the changes we have made to functions.ts and also rename this extension back to js and rerun the linter. And now we're gonna get to fixing the remaining issues. Firstly, let's start with post.css config.js. As we can see, this file uses common.js modules that are usually used in Node.js environment. And to fix this issue, let's rename an extension of this file on c.js, which means common.js. This way, we're gonna let linter know that this file uses Node.js module system. But that's actually not enough, and we also need to write additional code inside ESLint configuration file. So right here, I'm going to add another key overrides, which will be an array with one object. And inside this object, we have to specify the key files with the list of files, which we would like linter to treat as Node.js files. So right here, I'm going to specify an env object with one property node, which will be true. And this way, if we go back to postcssconfig.cjs file, we no longer see any errors. So that is fixed. Let's rerun linter once again, and now we have only one issue remaining. That is actually the same issue. So to fix it, we just need to add another entry to this files array, which is file name tailwind.config.js. And just like that, we have fixed all linter errors. So before finishing this lesson, let's just revert all the changes being made to the app.view component. And let's continue in the next lesson. The link to the repository with the source code of this project will be in the video description.